This time around, a dealer got scammed. Let's find out how. Let's get started. So you guys have been seeing some videos lately where we've been showing where customers at other shops are getting scammed, people buying cars are getting scammed. But this time around, it's one of our good customers, a local dealership that brings us their exotic cars for repairs before it goes for sale. They had taken it to a different shop, just local, so it would be a little bit quicker, hoping it'd be a faster turnaround. That place told them an entire slew of malarkey, just garbage. We're going to take a look at that, what they told them, and how none of it was really true. After they heard what they thought needed to be done, they said, no. We'll go ahead and cart this thing all the way up to Omega because I'm thinking that there's some kind of farce or false information going on here. Good thing they did, because we found out this absolutely doesn't need what was recommended. We'll get Grimes over here in a little bit and give you guys some more Grimes action, but before we dive in, let's take a look at this beautiful Bentley. This is a 2006 Bentley Continental GT. Aren't these beautiful, Mrs. Wizard?
They are quite elegant.
I really like these cars. This one's in very good shape and it's a beautiful silver color. It's got some really big wheels, 20s on this car. They look very nice, beautiful wheels. As we go around, you'll notice that the suspension is not leaning. It's in perfect right height. Look at the rear of these guys. You don't mistake that for a Honda or a Ford. When you see one of these, you do a double take and you're like, what is that? That does not register as anything in my mind. And then you take a closer look and you're like, ah, it's a Bentley, wow. And down that side, equally just as beautiful. Let's go ahead and hop under the bonnet. On the newer Bentleys, they actually just have a normal latch like any other car to get the hood open. But on the older Bentley GT Continentals, you got to pull the B. Isn't that right, Mrs. Wizard?
Yes, you do. Pull the B.
Pull the B. You're like, what the hell does that mean? I'll show you. You lift up, the B popped out. Now we're going to pull the B. There we go. Here is our Bentley W12, which is developed by Volkswagen Audi Group. It is a V12, but the cylinders are staggered so that there's a lot less length to the engine. It's very short, very compact packaging here. And it can be very difficult to work on. And in case you're wondering, what does that mean, W12? Here's a picture of an engine block. And most of us think of the cylinders are in a row, whether it's inline 6, 4-cylinder, V6, V8, they're usually in a row. Not on these. It's kind of like the Volkswagen VR6. Basically two of those. It's a W shape. You can see the W in the staggered cylinders. W12 is what it's called. This one has some leaks that are common to these, which are valve cover gaskets. We're going to go over that here in a little bit with Grimes. But there are lots of things on this engine that are engine out, like the starter and oxygen sensors. There are vacuum lines that run on the transmission tunnel up inside of there. You can't see them. I can't really show them to you, but they're common for cracking and breaking and making a bad vacuum leak, and also that is engine out. There are a ton of engine out repairs on this engine, so if you're looking at one of these, only 30, 40 grand, I can buy one of these. Remember two words, engine out. There is a lot of engine out repairs with this engine. If you're looking for a Bentley, I recommend the newer GTCs or whatever with the V8. I know it's not as cool, it's not as fast, not as powerful, but it is a twin turbo V8. It's still pretty fast, way easier to work on. Let's let Mrs. Wizard show you guys around the interior of this really sweet Bentley.
Okay, ladies and gents, it has 36,571 miles. Whoop, and there it even went. Let's go ahead and take our hand off the light there. Look at that gauge cluster. I love the surround of each of those little gauge areas. It's quite impressive with that brushed steel. Love it. But again, very easy to read. Nothing complicated going on in there. Got a nice little opera pull over there for our vent. But let's go ahead and move up. With 36,000 miles, we're not going to see a whole lot going on because this is pretty much a garage princess. It's looking fabulous. We've got more of that kind of a circle pattern going on the dash area there, another opera pole. Got some piano black going on in the center, surrounding our opera pole again, and our lovely analog clock. We do have a nice infotainment system in the center with our HVAC beneath that and radio controls even further down. And again, in this case, we don't pull the B, you push the B if you want to change the gear selector. But again, nice little addition, looking really nice. So in our center section, beneath that gear selector, you can see that we have our push button start, have our hazard lights, some controls for our seats as well. And then we've got some fun little hidey hole here. We've got our cigarette lighter. And on this side, little hidey hole here, got a card for the voice command telephone. And on the other side, we have a spot we can put in a SD card. Very nice. And I believe they both come up to reveal yet another one. And here we go. We have one more hidey hole for our cup holder. So as we look at our seat, we can see we have that lovely taupe leather going on. There's some nice diamond stitching in our perforated leathers to allow for heating and cooling. Got some nice bolster on the side, and we do have an embroidered B in the center section of that seat. Door card is looking fabulous because it's got more of that taupe leather going on and more of that diamond stitching as well. We have two seats in the back. Nobody sits on the hump. We have a very nice, more piano black, but we have more hidey holes, more cup holders, more opera poles. All is looking quite lovely. Headliner, of course, is in fabulous condition. We have cloth on the sides with a nice leather center stripe going down the middle. So we're back to our steering wheel. And no, well, I guess you could push the B or not. This one's not actually moving, but the entire pad will because it's called the horn. But okay, we could push that one, but we have lots of controls going on here for cruise control and radio and phones and menus and everything else under the sun. Well, looks lovely though. Nice, it has nice leather grip to it. It is a 4-spoke steering wheel, so looking great. So I'm really wondering, what did that other shop do to this and why were they so wrong?
So when the dealership brought this to a local shop, the person inspecting, mechanic, I don't know if they were what they were, but they were checking over the vehicle. And they said the entire suspension needs to be replaced. There's issues with the suspension, it's got problems, you're gonna have to get it all replaced. They're like, what? It's literally fine, it doesn't do anything wrong. Nope, gotta do it all. Oh, there's oil leaks, it's gonna be major tear down, major all this. It was gonna be so expensive. And they were like, no. Anyways, let me go get Grimes. We'll talk about what we actually found. So it had a small oil leak. They took it to this other place and everything happened that I just described. It does have an oil leak, but the suspension issue, you checked it over. You had it on the lift. Did you find anything out of order or broken or wrong with the suspension?
No, I checked all of the suspension components. So these have level sensors. Sometimes the arms like to break off and that can cause level issues. Hooked up the scan tool, actuated everything, made sure that the compressor valve block, all of that worked as it should. Visually inspected the shocks, the air bladders on them, and no cracking, no anything. And it's been sitting here for a few days, and the level hasn't changed. It hasn't aired down or anything. So
it's literally been sitting for 3 days in the shop. We're waiting for some okay for some things. It hasn't even dropped 1/4 of an inch. All corners stay perfectly level, up like they're supposed to be, with 0 issue. So there could be electrical problems. Did you scan it for codes and check the suspension system?
Yep. Scan for codes, nothing pending, no faults, anything.
Nothing.
No.
And with road tests, everything feels fine, everything drives fine, no clunks, no...
Yeah.
Nothing.
Everything's shockingly in good shape, but this thing does only have, I think, what, 30,000 miles or 35, something like that?
Yeah, like 36,000, I think.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute, exactly what the reasoning was, why it needed all the suspension. And this is where you can get scammed, no matter who you are, whether you're an owner of the car, or if you're a dealer getting a car fixed, or it could be all the different scenarios, you can still get scammed. So it did have oil leaks though, and they're very common. What did you find with the leaks there?
I did find the passenger side valve cover is leaking Not severely, but it is leaking. It's leaking down the block, and it's actually making it to the under tray.
Okay.
So, driver's side is okay, but you know, if you're having everything off, you do both sides.
There's also, you saw when you scanned the engine part of the computer, you found some codes for other issues?
Yep, so did have multiple cylinder misfires. Went ahead and did a smoke test because, you know, these first gens are really common to have vacuum leaks above the transmission.
Yes.
Smoke tested the intake on both sides. No issues, no leaks,
Good.
Any of that. So it's very likely just worn plugs, and we're going to go ahead and do plugs, coils, valve cover gaskets, since everything has to come off.
Anyone who owns an Audi, Volkswagen product, or Bentley, Lamborghini, you know coils, they just don't seem to last. 50,000 miles, 80, sometimes a little longer, sometimes way less. But the coils typically are not going to last 250,000 miles on an Audi Volkswagen product. They're just, I don't know why, they don't last. I've replaced coils on these over and over and over again because they go bad. Let's take a look at what all has to be done real quick to even just do the valve cover gaskets. So when Grimes dives into this, here's the valve covers here. There's one on each side. You can see one coil right there. There are 12 of them. But as you can see, you don't just pop the valve covers off and put new gaskets on. This looks like a rib cage. I always thought they looked like an armor for a rib plate or something. All this has to come off. These air boxes have to come off. And then to get to the valve covers, or actually get them off, then all 12 coils have to come out. This isn't a 20-minute job. It takes some time. Now let's go over to the parts table and show you how quickly the cost does add up on a Bentley. Let's head on over to Grimes and show them what we're working with. So one of the things to keep in mind if you're purchasing a Bentley, obviously any exotic or ultra luxury car is going to be very expensive. Sitting right here, Grimes, just this little tiny thing, little group of parts, $2 grand.
Yeah.
We haven't turned any bolts. We haven't done any work. We're already at $2 grand. Each of these coils is $100. These are OEM, these aren't aftermarket cheap ones. These are OEM coils that are supposed to go to this car. $100 each times 12. 1,200 bucks. These spark plugs are unique to this engine. They are almost $30 each per plug times 12. Here we have the VVT oil seals. They're about 15, 20 bucks a piece times 4. And we have spark plug tube oil seals. They're a little over $10 a piece times 12. Then these are about 70 bucks a piece. These are the valve cover gaskets. Then we have a plenum gasket, which is about 100 bucks. Just like that, $2 grand. We didn't even start working yet. We're just basically doing a tune-up. We know from what Grimes checked out, he found that there's some issues going on with coils and plugs. We're not going to put the old ones back on. We're going to have all that stuff apart. They're getting new plugs, new coils, and this will take care of the oil leak. Let's get this thing on the lift. I want to show them kind of what you looked at underneath, some of the things you looked at.
That's good.
Another thing to keep in mind is when you get this thing ready to put on the lift, you don't just put the arms underneath the car and go for it. You can cause some major issues. They're actually a jack mode, that's what it's called, to put this in so you can actually be allowed to even lift your car. Let me show you how you do that. Turn the key power on. Then there's two buttons we're going to press and hold. The shock button and the suspension button. And as we keep holding them, we're going to see it say jack mode in the screen. I'm holding them now. There we go. There's the little icon that means it's ready to be lifted. So we're ready to go. So as you can see, Grimes has the belly pans off, and you can actually see the oil leaks on the belly pan themselves. There's some little blobs of oil going on there. So we know where the leak's coming from. Now let's take a look at this suspension. See, we have a little arm that goes to the ride height sensor he was talking about. There's the actual air strut. You didn't see any issues at all, huh?
No.
It doesn't appear to be anything going on here.
No, went ahead and checked all the ball joints, control arms, bushings all look good. I mean, this is, you know, a really low mile car, so I wouldn't expect to see a lot of bad suspension stuff.
Let's check the back real quick while we're at it, and then we're good to go. Right here we can see the other ride height sensor. There's the arm. It tells the computer exactly what position the wheels are at. And up above we can see our air suspension, actual and air strut. There's the bellows and everything. Looks good there. Air suspension problems typically aren't that complex. They seem like they would be really, really hard to work on, but they're actually not too bad, are they?
No, as long as they're exercised regularly and keep the lines dry.
Yeah.
Outside of that, yeah, there's, you know, the actual bags, like the airbags themselves, can wear out over time, just raising, lowering, driving, all of that. But at this mileage, I honestly wouldn't have any, you know, bad feeling about it. And just with the visual inspection, everything looks fine.
Very good. Let's get this thing back on the ground. So thanks for finding all what was wrong with this beautiful Bentley. And it's definitely not as bad as they thought it would be, is it?
No, not too bad. It's, you know, typical tune-up stuff, things you'd expect at this mileage and this age.
Well, I'll let you head back to break. Try not to run too fast. $1 million man. So Grimes has checked this thing over, and as we see, the suspension is fine. It doesn't leak any air. It has no errors in this computer. It has nothing going on at all. It runs and works very well as far as suspension is concerned. So why are they telling them to replace everything? It's because the person who was checking it over, which I heard from the dealership, said, oh, these things have air suspension problems all the time. They're always blowing out, and this and that's happening, and it leaves you stranded. You got to do the whole thing. That's like saying a certain car has a common problem, but it hasn't failed yet on your car, but you need to go ahead and fix it because it's common. So we're going to just go ahead and quote you that or get out. That's not the way to be with people. And that's why they didn't allow them to go any further with the car. They were like, no, we're going to take this to Omega. And I'm so glad they did, because there was literally nothing wrong with the suspension on this car. Zero. Nothing wrong. Very likely whoever checked over this car is not familiar with Bentleys or probably anything with air suspension. They just didn't want to work on it. They're just like, here, you're going to need to do all these. They knew they either would probably get them a big bill and they could try to replace all these parts, or it would move the person down the road and they don't have to worry about that car. Whoever looked it over probably shouldn't be looking over Bentleys. You did see in the engine bay there's going to be a minor teardown on the top end. They're going to have the plenums off, the coils out, the valve covers off. Kind of a big, not a big job, but kind of a big job, and $2,000 worth of parts going into this thing. We have the okay to do that, take care of the oil leak, and this thing will be ready for sale. Go back on the dealer's lot. These are those situations where you find a good mechanic, you should stick with that mechanic. Whether they're higher or lower price, it doesn't matter. If they're trustworthy, you really should stick with them, because they will save you money in the long run over the long haul. If we were an unscrupulous shop, we could easily say, oh yeah, that guy was right. You need everything replaced. It's going to be 15 grand. We don't play that game here. This is why they keep bringing these cars here for us, because they get a straight deal, no BS, no games. So if you're curious what kind of tools Grimes is going to use on this vehicle, or that we use in any of the cars in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. A lot of the tools that we use in the shop are listed for sale there. If you purchase any of them, we get a small cut and we really appreciate it. Check out Mrs. Wizard's Ways. There's a link in the description for that. She's got really cool videos going on there. And make sure to hit the subscribe button here, because so many more videos for you guys coming down the pike. Thanks for watching.